Let's start with the travel ban. What is it and how is it affecting business?
Well, the travel ban's been in place for upwards of 3 months now, and there's no way of knowing actually when it will be lifted. And what that means is that there's no free flow of business, and that includes the flow of business people, entrepreneurs, and highly skilled professionals that need to come back and forth or to enter the U.S. in order to make the businesses here progress and function correctly and generate profits. And so it's had a very, very profound effect, essentially stalling a lot of businesses that are international in nature, especially ones that are subsidiaries here of foreign companies that really need to move their executives and managers and engineers and essential employees to the U.S. in order to grow their businesses here, which leads to more U.S. job creation.
Steve, what's the impact of the shutdown of U.S. embassies and consulates?
So the short-term impact is already being felt, and there's no way to really be able to judge how deep the impact will be long-term until we know when this ban will actually stop, and that means when the U.S. embassies and consulates are reopened. Right now, you're talking about millions of visas that are issued per year, and if this is projected over the course of 9 months, you're talking about over 1 million visas that won't be issued. And that includes a lot of business visitors that are setting up business here or conducting business with U.S. companies. Mm-hmm. That includes tourists that come from the U.S., from outside the U.S., that obviously are generating a lot of revenue for the hotel industry, for travel, for destinations like Florida, for example, that's essentially paralyzed. And then most importantly, what I feel the impact in what I do is the entrepreneurs that can't get their visas right now because there are no interviews. A lot of these embassies and consulates are not even accepting petitions for entrepreneurial visas, and we're talking about over 100,000 visas per year that are issued. So for example, we have a Japanese steakhouse client that has already built out their space. They have a rental agreement that's $15,000 a month, and their kitchen manager and general manager are stuck in Japan waiting for their interview. In the meantime, they've lost already 4 months of potential revenue, haven't been able to hire all the U.S. workers that they want to, and it's possible that they could go out of business before they open their doors. And that's happening if you multiply it over lots of businesses. That's happening in thousands of cases right now because of the shutdown of the U.S. embassies and consulates. So this is having a huge impact.
Steve, tell us about the shutdown of the borders between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada.
Well, I'm not an economist, so I don't know the numbers exactly or how to explain them in terms of what it does to trade. But obviously our closest trading partners are the ones that share our borders. That's Canada and Mexico. And right now there's a very gray area in terms of what can actually be brought in, what can be transported into the United States, and who's allowed to come in. And so I think that that's leading to increased prices in the United States because of these extra barriers. But on top of that, what people don't think about is how many professionals come to the U.S. through the borders under what's called the TN visa, the Treaty National Visa, which is exclusively for Mexican and Canadian nationals. They don't have to process their visas at U.S. embassies and consulates, so they don't have that barrier. They usually do it at border crossings. And right now, because those border crossings are closed except for people who are essential, they're not able to come into the United States. And that causes a domino effect because the companies that are hiring them need them now, which is why they're applying now. And that leads to a breakdown in the way that companies are functioning in the United States and doesn't lead to further job creation that really is a byproduct of all these professionals that are coming in through the Canadian and Mexican border. Mm.